The last couple of weeks, we worked working with computer drawing and everything, but this week we're actually going to print the part. The one thing you have to do that still requires the computer to work on is to add supports to the model. Now, they call them supports, but they're not really supports. They're attachments. They attach the model to the build plate, and the build plate slowly pulls itself out of the soup, and the model comes along with it. And you do this with programs they call slicers. Not only does it apply the supports, but it also cuts the model into layers. And each layer is printed independently, one layer after the next on these types of printers. I have two slicers that I work with. One is Chitubox. It's a fairly sophisticated slicer, but doesn't give you a whole lot of, in the free version, you don't get very many options. I think you pay $100 or so a year for their commercial unit. The other one is the LycheeSlicer, which is pretty crude, but you have lots and lots of options. And I'll show you the two of them here. This is the screen on the Chitubox, and you can see that there's not a whole lot of options. You can rotate it, you can move it around, you can mirror it. It comes down backwards. You have to rotate it 90 degrees to get it lined up properly. And then you get the settings. That's where you set the exposure time and the lift rate and some other settings on the machine. And you tell it to slice, and it goes off and does its thing. Chitubox the Lychee is a little bit more complicated. You have a lot more options here, and it goes through several stages. You start by positioning it on the build plate, and remember, this is what you're seeing here is upside down from what is going to be going on in the machine. Then you get to apply the supports, and then you finally export it. When you export it, it'll slice it up for you. When you attach the model to the build plate, the first layers of the printer are only about 2/1000 of an inch thick, and they're very weak. When they pull from the build plate, they'll distort. So to avoid this, you typically want to put the model at an angle so that only an edge or a small surface is first printed. And this eliminates a lot of the distortion that you might see. This is the peach crate. I'm loading up the peach crates here. They're a fairly small model, and it drops them down. And now what you're going to do is tell it, okay, let's lift it up. You want to lift it up a little bit so that you can get under it and cut it loose from the plate. And I like 8 millimeters is a nice number. You take a look here, you have all these various options here. I'm going to just let it do everything. So it first turns it up so it's just just a single point is hanging down there. It lifts it off the plate. Now it's put all these supports on it. Now it's going to put optimized supports. And now it's putting in bracing. And you have more material in the supports than you have in the model. So I go back and do it. I do most of these by hand. And you can see that these are all in tension. There's no compression going on. So you're just lifting that thing straight up, and they're going to pull it right out of the box, and it'll be just fine. So now you export the file, and they like to throw ads at you. And just going to write over the peach crate. And this is the actual slicing. These are the supports. And just coming up, here comes the 2x4s. Now you can see the frame being built. And boom, it's done. Now, this is a signal cabinet I'm working on. This is letting the LycheeSlicer go at it. And it's just awful. It leaves, when it goes at it, there'll be little dimples like this. Wherever these things get attached, there'll be a little lump that you really don't want. And there's no need to have these things out here anyway, because it's not supporting anything. This is the Chitubox, and you take a look at what it does. The place that it has to really draw is these surfaces here on the, what are the bottom, it's lifting it out. This is the surface it's trying to pull off of the release film. And so you have lots and lots of stuff here. You don't need anything to pull. The body of the model itself is going to pull itself out of the soup. And you can see it just runs these up to here. Does a really nice job, but you have really no control over it. you sort of get what you take unless you get their professional version. So we've taken that, we're going to copy it to a thumb drive, and you're going to plug it into the printer. Now, if you take a look at this, the film that you're going to see is not the beach crates. It's actually some electromagnetic switch machines that I needed. I had the camera set up, so it's the same process though. I've edited the sections down. There's 2 ethanol rinses, 30 seconds each, and there's 3 minutes of ultrasonic cleaning, and then a UV post cure is 1 minute long. And so I just cut out the center sections of those so you don't have to sit there and watch them forever and a day. So here we go. We have, turn it on, you have a little splash screen comes up. This is my ultrasonic printer here, and these are the 2 tanks of ethanol that we'll use for cleaning it. You just tell it to print. I got to find the thing. Who was it? Print. And that was several files in there. You have to pick the right file. That's the file you want? Yeah, I think so. Okay, go ahead. And that's it. You're done. This is the most exciting part right here. Once it gets to the thing goes into the soup, you can't see it doing anything. But it goes down and it hits the bottom. And it does a little bump to get any air bubbles out of there. Bump flushes the air bubbles out. And now the plate comes on, and this is the surface that actually they really want this to stick to that aluminum plate. So this is going to expose for about 35 seconds and really make it hard, really polymerize the daylights out of it. Your normal exposures will be 3 to 4 seconds. So it finally comes up, and it's going to do this all through the whole process. This is all it does. Okay, so we've got the, now you notice I'm wearing gloves now. When you're working with this stuff, these are acrylic polymers, and you don't want to get them on your skin. They're not toxic, but you can get a real nasty case of dermatitis if you become allergic to them, and you can become sensitized to the stuff. And so this is the dirty solvent. And I just use the timer on the ultrasonic to, you slosh it around for 30 seconds like this. Okay, now I like to keep my clean ethanol tank as clean as possible, so I give it a squirt of ethanol just to remove the dirty, the dirty solvent. It gets really dirty. Put that one over there. Now I give it 30 seconds of the clean ethanol tank.
What percentage ethanol is that? 70 or 90?
It's straight ethanol fuel, 100%, probably 95%.
Okay.
It's stove fuel.
Yep.
You go for marine stoves and camping stoves. It's denatured. You can't drink it. I give it a good rinse with this stuff, and then take it over and I'll give it, it'll go into the ultrasonic cleaner for 3 minutes. And first thing we'll do is knock it off. I think I knock it off the shelf. Yeah, you're going to take the knife and we'll detach it. But ethanol, some people use isopropanol, but ethanol is a whole lot cheaper and works just as well. You get it by the gallon. And the solution in there is just 3% Dawn detergent. Dawn is a really good grease cutter. That will take it. You can say there's not much to this process. It's pretty simple. Take it over to my wash sink, just rinse it off. Give it a good shake. And I squirt it with ethanol just to make it dry faster. Otherwise, you have to wait for the water to dry before you put it in the ultraviolet light. So that just knocks any residual water off. And this is my homemade light box. It's a bunch of 405 nanometer LEDs, 2 strips of them that run around in there. And I have a little wire basket in there to put it in to so it gets exposed from all directions. And you turn it on and you can see the lights come on. Boom. Takes about a minute. And the commercial ones only have 4 or 5 of those LEDs, and it takes maybe a half hour to cure it. That thing is a real flamethrower. Now, removing the parts, I just use a sharp knife. You'll see, I just take a little Dyco knife and I set it against they just pop off. A couple of them went flying. Had to go collect them off the floor. And I think I crushed 1 or 2 of them. They're very, very delicate. Remember, these things are only, those walls are only 0.4 of a millimeter thick. And so there they all are. That's it. And they're the finished parts on the layout.
Nice.
With the peaches. I don't know what he used for peaches. I have no idea what those things are. But he said he found these things. And he says they're great peaches, and I need peach crates. So he got peach crates. So there you go. Now, next time I'm gonna, that tower you saw, I'm finishing up the painting on, and we'll talk about how you could make more complicated things with lots of bricks and clapboards and roof tiles and all that kind of stuff. And you'll see that it goes very, very, very quickly with a good CAD system.